Hey,
How are you, sir?
I'm very good, my friend. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little tired, been
Well,
out, so could use a nap, but we're ready to work.
that's the point. Now it's time to work. So therefore, even if you're tired, stressed, depressed, happy, sad, whatever emotion you're going through, when it's time to record, that's what we have to do with give the people what they want, right? So
You got to give the people what they want, and also you gotta got, the thing is like once you get in the movement of like doing whatever you want to do, whether it's a podcast, like your work, your brain starts functioning. But when you're in this lazy mood, your brain will start telling you sleep, 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 sleep.
and with that, I would like to say welcome to What Are You Saying? My name is Mohammed. I'm here with the co-host Osama. And therefore, we have a talk show called Ways. We'll be dropping a new episode every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. All right. Make sure to follow us at Ways 2.0. That's our Instagram page at Ways 2.0. You can follow Osama at Kusa300. One more time at Kusa300. You can follow myself at Mohammed.global. Lastly, at Mohammed.global. We want to make sure we give you guys the best content. Like, comment, share, subscribe every video. Our videos could be available. You can find it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, Anchor, and much more.
Did
So
you see our
therefore,
videos?
podcast audio only for now, obviously due to COVID. Before we had videos, once COVID, dies down, we'll definitely get the videos back up and rolling. But for now, you can just listen to the audio, sit back and relax. Make sure to grab a notebook, take some notes, and if you have some thoughts and ideas and you want to hear some more, you want to come on the show, message me and Osama and let us know, and therefore we can book you on as a guest and talk about a topic that you feel is powerful and relevant in today's society. We don't hold anything back, especially during a time like this. We want to talk to different people, get different minds, different thoughts and opinions, because to limit yourself and your own beliefs is limiting what you actually see as far as the world, because the world is bigger than what we see, obviously, right? So by talking to
Yeah,
different groups of people, getting better understanding perspectives, we only embrace the total collective of the consciousness that the world needs, which is
yes,
right now.
sir.
So yeah,
And I do just want to mention, for people at this point who have probably heard Lena's podcast, I just want to again thank her for giving us her time to come
yes,
on because she did definitely kill it.
yeah.
We learned a lot, and a lot of my friends were asking because I obviously did. They were like, "Oh, how did it go?" And I'm like, "It went amazing," and I'm hoping you guys all heard it, and you better be hearing it.
You're gonna love it. If you haven't heard the episode, trust me, when you listen to it, amazing. Good thing about this show, we're having guests who are holding true to who they are, their character and their words, and therefore we're just having more guests on the show for different fields, different thoughts, different perspectives, and it just creates a better overall branding as far as who we are. It makes us better co-host, it makes us better leaders on the listeners, and that's the goal, right? To grow, get better, and obviously, like, you don't want to be perfect on one thing. Even if you think you are perfect on one thing, someone else is perfect at something else, right? So for
Yeah,
me, whatever you're good at, I want to learn it. I want to hear from you, how you do it, the process, thinking pattern, and how you engage in your activity, right? So when we have guests on, it's our job to make sure that we understand the frame of reference as opposed to how their mind works. So therefore, you guys can get a better understanding of how to utilize it and apply it in your own life.
I agree. And today we actually have a guest.
Yep.
Her name was Olivia,
Yes.
someone I went to school with back in like Sheridan, and she's a very cool person. She's great, and I'm glad to have her on. She has an opinion for basically everything. So, and I actually do respect her opinion for a lot of stuff that we do talk about. Very interesting person, and yeah. And today's topic is the validity of cliches. In today's episode, you'll be hearing me, Mohammed, and Olivia speak about basically how these cliches are so real. Yet a lot of people like say it's a cliche, but it's not really being done. Like for example, you'll hear us talking about a lot of that. And yeah, so I'll invite her to right now and we'll get going.
That's the goal. So Olivia's gonna join any second now. So like Osama said, today's episode is about the validity of cliches. It's gonna be a fun episode. When it comes to cliches, everyone's a part of it. Obviously, like you say so many cliches without even realizing it, and you don't even utilize it in your own life and stuff, right? And also, there's cliches that we just take for granted, and there's certain cliches that we actually act upon. So it's good to just differentiate, to see the difference as opposed to the two kind of meanings and styles of cliches, whether it's an interpretation kind of cliches or it's a very direct, straightforward cliche. And yeah, we're gonna have fun. We're gonna make sure to have fun and get down to the meaning and all these different conundrums as far as concerning cliches. And once Olivia
Conundrum.
joins, we'll just rock and roll.
So before we rock and roll, I would like to say that let's rock and roll. Sorry, that was just like stupid.
Yep,
And
that did not sound well, but the point is that's life. All right, there's no do overs.
okay, I just want to say, like, as a co-host, you should be like supporting your boy, but I understand that you're not gonna do that at this moment because you don't want to take that L. But okay, I see you.
If you want to support, make sure to follow Osama at Kusa300 on Instagram at Kusa300.
um,
That's a way to follow. So yeah,
I was gonna say, by the way, thank you to everybody. I was looking at our analytics. We're actually growing some of our United States population. We have like 22% of our viewers coming from there. So I want to say thank you to all of you
shout
guys that
out
are.
to the US viewers that are
Yes, shout
listening.
out. Tell your friends about it. And the fact that we have 22% is actually amazing because the more we're able to show podcasts and they like it, they can tell to their friends and their family members. And hey, we want to hit the US market,
Everywhere, the whole world, US,
the whole market,
Belgium,
of course.
Kazakhstan,
Ghana.
Yugoslavia, Ghana, Paraguay, France, Madagascar, whole world, bro. International. The world needs it, right? So right now everything's stopped, everything's on lockdown. So obviously it's a time for self healing, and not even us, other shows, other podcasts that you might find that might be interest as far as your topics and concerns. Listen to them, right? Like do whatever you need to do, whether it's meditating, reading a book, journaling, like whatever you need to do. Go for a walk, 20 minutes a day, biking. Just get yourself out of the mentality of just being in a dark state of mind, obviously, right? During a time like this. So make sure to utilize that time, self heal, self reflect, and build upon the things you need to build upon. So when you go back into the outside world, because we're all going back to work soon, you have a clear conscience with clarity and understanding. So therefore, there's no missed directions or hidden agendas as far as yourself. Because nothing worse than being inside for 3 months, and when you go back into the world, not only were you not a different person, but you have certain emotions that you built up upon and you did not release or deal with. And when someone pulls it out of you, it's going to be such a negative reaction. It's not only going to shock you, but also the people around you. And it's hard to come back from that. So that's why you have to do whatever it takes. Take precautive, take very dolphins. Take very, very smart cautions.
Hey,
Hey, Olivia, what's up?
not much. How are you guys?
I'm good, thank you. Mohammed, I want to introduce you to Olivia, the homie from Sheridan.
Nice to meet you, Olivia. Welcome to the show.
You too, Mohammed. Thank
How's
you.
your day so far?
It's just starting, so far
That is
so
true.
good. How about you guys?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm still tired. I was telling Mohammed earlier, I'm like actually a little sleepy, but let's get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
All right, so
Mo,
today's episode is about the validity of cliches. Obviously, people say it all the time. You might use it without even knowing it, and therefore you might say it when you mean it, but you might not even practice upon it, right? So the funny thing about cliches, obviously, we know it's terms, phrases, or even ideas that upon their inception may have been striking and thought provoking, but became an unoriginal through repetition and overuse, right? So in the beginning, obviously, it's a powerful thing to say, but when so many people use it, it dies down as far as its meaning and its power, right?
Yeah.
And the funny thing
mhm.
is, a French poet, his name is Gerard de Nerval, he said the first man to compare a woman to a rose was a poet. The second was an imbecile. So I thought that was pretty funny because obviously when something is new, when there's a new like originality as far as like a shoe or an idea, a car, whatever, everyone loves it. But when people start copying it and replicating it over the number of years, it dies down and becomes unoriginal, uninspiring, and that's funny how life kind of works in that ways. So I guess like we'll go through common cliches as far as sayings right now. So I'll give you guys one, and you guys let me know if you said this in the past or not. All right? Are you guys
Okay.
ready?
Yep.
I don't know. Are you ready?
I'm ready. All
Of
right. So
course
here's
you're
the
ready,
first.
then, bro.
I know I didn't say this, and I'm pretty sure Osama has never said this, knowing Osama, but whatever. So the first one is all that glitters isn't gold.
I
I've never heard that cliche ever.
Never?
I've heard it, but I don't think I've used it. But hearing it now, I think I would agree with it.
Yeah, I
Well,
think.
you go on.
I
Why are you
think.
laughing?
No, it's funny because like all that glitters isn't gold. I can just imagine like elder females, like the ones that like at the thrift stores and stuff like that, the ones that go to like the malls and like their group of friends like drinking tea from like Tim Hortons and stuff. I can imagine them saying it, but obviously like no one in high school is gonna say something like this, right?
Oh,
Maybe like your teacher
100%.
or your aunts. So
Yeah.
it's pretty funny.
Very interesting. That's the first time
The
I've
next
actually
one,
heard that.
the next one, I don't think anyone has ever said this before. Don't get your knickers in a twist.
Yo, where are you getting these cliches from?
Yeah, this is like in 1950s, I'm pretty sure. All right. Okay. The next one is universal. Everyone said this multiple occasions. All for one and one for all.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
bro.
When would you guys usually say this?
All for one, one for all. I guess like it's more like so for me, like in a team standpoint, or like when you're basically in a group or a team, all for one, one for all. Basically meaning that everybody in the group that you're with is like one team as opposed to like separate individuals. So you act as one unit.
I would agree with Osama.
And the next one, I want to ask Olivia because she's the girl. And the next one is, and they all lived happily ever after.
uh, that one's hard.
It's hard.
I don't know what I would say about like it's such a fairy tale ending, but
Exactly.
I feel like there's a lot of situations where unfortunately it's not true.
Hmm.
Well, let's talk about that because like I know obviously like a lot of us have had like past and like things that we go through, and I feel a lot of people when they put a fairy tale ending in their mind, and it doesn't end up happening that way is when I guess mentally it starts messing with you. So have you guys ever like witnessed that with friends or like with people or within yourself?
100%, absolutely. I feel like um, I've kind of learned that sometimes the best things come when you don't expect them. So when you put an expectation on something from the very beginning, it's it doesn't happen naturally. It's kind of like it's forced. And when you're trying to force something too much, I feel like it tends to kind of break down and not in a way that you would want it to.
I know I 100% agree. Mohammed, what about you, bro? Broski?
No, it's funny because obviously, like in high school, there's always that couple or the whole world thinks that they're gonna like be married and they're gonna survive for the next 20 years. Like there's always that couple. Like they're like have like Juliet and Romeo. Like they're just perfect. And by the time high school ends, or maybe 6 months later, they broke up and stuff. So it's kind of shocking. So whether that's high school, college, university, there's always those kind of couples. They become like the fixed goals
Mhm.
for everyone as far as like your social circles and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as far as like they all lived happily ever after, obviously, like you read in books, you see in movies during certain scenes, like when a person gets married and they're driving away and they have that as far as like maybe the license plate in the car or maybe like on roses and stuff. So for me, I never really said it in person, maybe as a joke per se, but obviously most of the time you really see it in pop culture.
That's very true. And I like that you made that reference about how like once high school ends, you kind of just assume that that couple lived happily ever after. And then it kind of makes me think also how many couples out there have things going on behind closed doors that no one else knows about too, right?
Yeah.
That is very true. Well, a lot of people are always going to hide what they don't want to be seen because the unseen is what makes the person assume about someone. It's like, oh wow, they're living like a happy life or like whatever it is because that's what they're portraying to you. But if you know the person deeper, if you're a family member, it might be different.
Yeah, absolutely. So that cliche, I would say I don't think is valid to the fullest.
Now, the next one, I never said this, but I remember teachers saying this to me because I was always a troublemaker. So I'm pretty sure some remember this also.
Yeah, I was a troublemaker.
The last time the person actually said this to me, I was in grade 7 or 6. Cat got your tongue. You guys remember that?
Yeah, bro. Well, if you were a troublemaker in school and you talked back, of course you know this.
And that one was so confusing. 'Cause I remember as a kid, like, oh, the cat got your tongue, eh? I'm like, what are you talking about? I never had any idea of what they meant by that, right?
So do you
But
know
obviously,
now?
yeah, I think now, like 10 years later, it makes sense, obviously, right? Uh, when I was a kid, Obviously, like me and Osama, we weren't like the brightest students. We loved being class clowns and being in trouble all the time and stuff, whatever. So when a teacher's trying to teach and be ethical and has 20 kids and two kids are obviously making up noise and distracting the class all the time, it's very hard for a teacher, right? Because you
Mhm.
can't be over aggressive. You have to be super conductive as far as getting your module cleared and completed in a certain amount of time, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And if these kids are doing over a period of time, you have to try different measures to throw them off guard. So when my teacher used to say this to me, it would throw me off guard because obviously as a kid and like as far as the books that you're reading, whether it's like Franklin or like the Bearstein Bears, like as far as a cliche saying the cat got your tongue, it's like, what does that even mean? Like, what are you, what language are you even talking? Like, where do I start from and stuff, right?
Right. The
So
whole.
usually, like teachers will say that to throw you off, and actually, usually it worked. I remember it worked for me.
So my question is, where does the cat part come in? Like, what's the context behind that? Because
I
that's
think
what
Maybe,
confused me.
maybe I don't know. I'm assuming the
um
cat got your tongue.
I want to say is because you know how cats are curious. You know how like the term curiosity kills the cat.
Yeah.
So I feel because like cats are always curious, they'll do whatever. So like it caught your tongue. So I feel like no matter what you say, you're always curious to do something. So I think that's where it came from. I don't think it's an actual meaning because like I feel like a lot of the times when teachers would explain this specific quote, I would always get a different meaning. But like going back a long time ago, I'm not gonna remember all the meaning. I just look back at it as how cats are curious and like you are also curious. So you said something dumb and then like it got you stuck because now that you have no now that you cat the cat that has your tongue you can't speak no more.
Oh, okay.
Well, the beautiful thing about life, when you're wrong, you're wrong. So I just searched up what it meant, and it's the total opposite. So the definition of cat got your tongue is actually informal. It's used to ask someone why he or she is not saying anything. So what it means is you've been usually unquiet tonight. So therefore, that's why the cat got your tongue because you haven't said anything at all. Now,
Mm,
now when I go
interesting.
back in time, I don't realize why my teacher used to say this to me because I was not that kind of person.
No, I
I
think
was
they
not the
mean I
quiet
think they
student.
mean I think they mean when they want us to snitch, we're not saying nothing.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh, I
Oh,
remember. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because
Oh
because
yeah.
that's why we would get in trouble so much. Like when they want us to like spill information, we're not saying nothing. So
Oh
like
yeah. Yeah, I
I
remember.
guess that makes sense now, but yeah, I would agree. I'm
It's
not.
usually talking, talking, talking stuff, and when something happens, like who else was involved, you don't say anything, right? You just straight face. Oh, so the cat got your tongue. Now I remember. That makes
I,
sense,
I will
Osama.
say I feel bad for a teacher, for like specifically for me. I feel bad for a teachers mo because we give them a hard time.
oh, 100%.
Hard
I
time.
could never personally be a teacher. Like you need so much patience and you need to bite your tongue so much too.
It's, especially teachers now, like with obviously kids being like so high tech and like with advanced with social media that I guess they have way more power than we ever did because like now for us like we were never on the camera or social media. Nowadays like kids are always on TikTok or like Facebook or like IG or like Snapchat where they can film themselves or someone can film them saying something. Now it's gonna be saved forever.
That, and then also they get easily influenced by other people who aren't necessarily doing good things. So I feel like a lot of people or kids now would do something to cause trouble just for the gram.
I agree
You know what I mean?
100%.
So it's like even worse.
I couldn't agree more with
Yeah,
that
I
statement.
agree. Yeah, yeah, I agree. And that's yeah. So pretty much, Osama, you saying that it makes it come full circle.
Yeah,
So that's pretty
and I want
funny.
to say
Uh,
I want to say I want to say this cliche because I'm not before this call. Me and Olivia like had a call like last week talking about this, talking about everything happens for a reason.
Yep.
Now this cliche, people always say, yeah, everything happens for a reason. It's a cliche to think to say, but if you really think about it and go in the deep roots of it, because a lot of people don't really think of the actual quote. Like they'll always complain about why something happened, but they'll never be appreciative of the moment or think, oh, if this thing could have been way worse, or I'm so grateful to have this. So, what are your opinions on like everything happens for a reason?
Uh, do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go
of
ahead.
course.
It's
Um, so I would say I 100% agree with this quote because I truly do believe that everything happens for a reason. And for the people who don't think that this is true, I think that you might not think it's true right now, but trust me and give it some time, whether it's a few days, weeks, or even years. One day you will realize that whatever it is you went through that you don't understand why you went through it, it'll come back to you and you'll realize why it happened. Because even for myself, it took me years and other experiences before realizing that what happened in the past happened for a reason. And for me, I think a big thing is you need to know that, or sorry, you have to be willing to learn, because otherwise you're kind of just ignorant to the facts, if that makes sense. So for example,
Oh no,
if
100%.
I'm reflecting back to whatever happened a few years ago and I look at where I am now, I've learned and I've realized and opened my eyes that had I not gone through those experiences, I wouldn't be the person I am today. For example, maybe I wouldn't react the way that I react now. Maybe I wouldn't be as grateful as I am now or appreciative of the things that I have and just things like that. So it does take time. It's not something that you're going to know right away why it happened, but with time and with experiences, you'll learn that everything has happened for a reason.
And you said it. Honestly, I feel like you took my point as well. So just to add on to Olivia's point for everyone that's listening, um, especially if I want to say if you're a little bit younger, because I feel like as you get older, like you start learning new experiences, so it kind of helps develop your brain in a sense. But when you're younger, that's when you complain the most, like why did this happen to me? Why is this happening for someone else? I feel a lot of the times you got to focus on you and build yourself because you don't want to be that person where all his friends are developed and like ready, like not complaining. You're the only one that's still complaining about your past. Like past are past, they come and go, and you have to take those experiences and like just work on them and either like build yourself mentally and physically to like improve. So if this were to happen again to someone, you're able to help them out.
100%.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Well,
I say this all the time. I think I said this like 2 days ago to someone, and like you guys talked about, everything is connected. Every single event in human history is connected. Obviously, that's up to you if you want to decipher most things. But the easier you are to understand and contemplate that, yes, everything happens for a reason. So therefore, I'm gonna live the life that I want to live. So therefore, if anything bad happens to me, I understand. I won't complain. Therefore, I reflect upon it, like Olivia said, see it in front of me, take it face value, and use it as a lesson to help myself. So when someone else goes through the exact same situation, I can help them out.
Exactly.
Because if you complain, negative mindset, it only continues to get worse. And when it gets
yeah,
worse, not only do you become a worse person as far as your attitude and the way you respond to others, but also your circle, your friends see you a different way, your family members see you a different way, and you might react. So therefore, mental illness might occur under the influence as far as drugs and different things might happen. So when things happen to you, it's not because it's a bad thing that happened to you. It happened to you because you're picked. Like whether you believe in God or not, the universe, whatever you believe in, God, the universe, it picked you for that situation to occur.
Hmm.
So therefore, you can't be negative about it. You have to see it for face value, take it, understand it, and utilize it to build upon what you need to do to go to the next level.
100%. I completely agree with you. And then also, if you think about so many people that went through negative life experiences, like there's so many people that were literally the lowest of the low. And then because they went through that, whatever happened, they had some kind of realization. And now they've become such big influences
yeah,
and inspirations for people who are going through low times. So I think
yeah,
that's a
Mhm.
good example of how everything happens for a reason. No matter
yeah.
what you go through, no matter how bad it is, if you can come out of that, I feel like that's a very good example of why everything happens for a reason. And then
Agreed.
also, I would actually say that that kind of ties into another cliche, which is what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah, that's that's
Yeah.
very true. That's actually, yeah, I couldn't agree more. Especially like looking back, like when I was like in my early 20s, what doesn't kill you makes you strong, makes you stronger. It's very true because a lot of the times you go through stuff that it could be, I guess, fatal. Like I don't want to say fatal, but it could be like a change in like direction in your life, and you're like, why? What is this? But anything that does happen to you makes you strong as an individual. Like I look at a lot of my friends who I've seen, like who I've known personally, they go through so much stuff, but I see them as strong individuals and they have bright futures down the road because they're able to get out of that phase that they were living in and go kill it and go do whatever it is to do. But then you have those people who are, I want to say, a small minority who actually allow the bad experiences to keep piling up, piling up, piling up because they feel it's easy to deviate from the subject as opposed to deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to add on to it, like the funny thing is, obviously, right now we're doing a podcast. We have Olivia on as a guest. Most people, like our peers, certain things we'll say in this podcast, they might agree, they might disagree. But even if they disagree, they know it's the truth. So when you say that what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger, whatever we say right now might not make sense to them, but to make sense to them in a very simple way, okay, if you don't believe what we say, look at the people you look up to. As
Yeah.
far as your heroes, your mentors, like people that influence you on a daily basis, they are the living embodiment of this cliche. Why? Because they went through some of the toughest hardships, struggles, and emotional difficulties to get them to the point where they are right now. Right now, the world reveres them. Obviously, you're one of those people, but you didn't see them on the come up. You didn't see them when they're on the, when they were isolated and tough and miserable places and situations where they had no one else to help them. Right. So the fact that nothing like those situations didn't kill them and they used it to become who they were to the point where now everyone loves them and they have all these accolades and
Well,
accomplishments. Obviously, they are the strongest of people. So it's one of those things. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger because when you know that these hurdles that you're facing right now doesn't have any weight as far as your overall being, it only makes you stronger because when life gives you more, you're able to take it in such a way that you build and build and build. So therefore, your mental game becomes stronger, your communication skills become stronger, and also your analytical game becomes stronger. Like all different forms and variations of
Mm.
yourself, the 360 overall being becomes a different monster, and that's when you unlocked like success, greatness, and like leadership and all those different next level accolades and feats that everyone's striving for.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
Well,
you
that
made a really good point.
wow, Mohammed, you're like the influencer, bro. I'm gonna call you Gary Vee from now on. I got you.
Gary V.
No, I'm playing. You'll probably be better than him still. But I was going to say to add on that because you're talking about greatness and influencing about people going through their past. That depends on that's so contingent on the individual. I can name names right now where obviously we're not going to do that, but people who I know met in the past, whether it's high school or like when I was at Sheridan or like just like at work, who are people who are in a way they're talented and they could have had a bright future, but they allowed certain experiences get the best of them, and they would use that experience and complain about it till death do them part.
Oh my
And I'm like,
gosh, I know those people. It's one of
I'm
my
like,
pet
bro.
peeves.
I think we probably spoke about this too, Olivia. I get like we had a lot of conversations. For a lot of people that don't know, Olivia has amazing advice.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But yeah, so like those people who I'm talking about, I'm like, bro, you'll give them advice or you'll give them like I guess quotes and like this and you'll explain to them and they're like, yeah, 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 that's some good advice. And then they'll do the same thing and you're like, bruh, I'm about to like put you through a table.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to being open to learning because if you're
Oh
going to
yeah.
ask someone for advice, why bother asking if you're not going to take it? And then
I
Yeah.
feel
also, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say like I think it's due like validation, but yeah, you can go on.
Oh, that's a good point. Um, and then it also kind of reminds me of, do you guys, okay, I don't know the saying word for word, but it's something about how if you keep doing the same thing, you can't expect a different result. You know what
Yeah.
Yes,
I
yes.
mean? So if you are going through something and you don't know how to get out of it, but you're not changing your habits, how can you
Yeah.
expect to be stronger?
No, for sure,
So pulling it
100%.
back into the cliche, like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. If you're doing the same thing, you're not going to get stronger. But if you're going through obstacles to come out of that, like Muhammad said earlier, then that will make you stronger as a person. And like, how many times have you been in a situation where you, the situation happened and afterwards, or after the fact, then you're like, oh, I should have said this, or I should have done this, or it would have worked out better if I did this. And then
Yep.
I feel like because you went back, you reflected on it, then you kind of learn from that situation, okay, well, next time that it happens, I'm going to do this so that the outcome is better. And I
You
feel
know
like
it's
that's part of it.
it's funny that you say that because I feel a lot of people also like for example, 20, a lot of people are now saying 2020 is a curse because of the pandemic. So
Hmm.
a lot of people are now, if something's not going their way, they're living in the past. Like, wow, 2018 was such a beautiful year. So now they have these like images in their head of what 2018 was. But people have to forget that it's your power to make your life good or bad. Like 2020, you can still make it good. Like the pandemic should not be the reason why it's stopping you from living your life day to day.
I
And
100% agree.
I go back to like your other point you say, which I agree with about like people asking for advice, like when they're not taking it. I just feel, and I guess we all know these people. Sometimes they just want the validation of like you basically. Because sometimes like those friends where you don't want to hurt them, so you'll make them hear something they want to hear. And I guess we have all done that in the past because you know the type of person they are. And sometimes when you give them something they want to hear, but you also give them like the reality in it,
Hmm.
they're like they'll like you, but then they realize like, oh, like this is not what like they'll realize after the while on their own, like after the time you gave up on them, you're like, oh wow,
Yeah.
like this person was right. So I kind of agree. I feel these cliches, they call them cliches, but they can't really be cliches if you're not acting upon them.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Mr.
Like,
Mo.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna do a quick breakdown. This is What Are You Saying, our talk show. Make sure to follow us at Ways 2.0. Once again, make sure to follow us at Ways 2.0. You can follow Osama at Kusa 300. Once again, at Kusa 300. Myself, you can follow me at Muhammad.global. My page is at Muhammad.global. We'll be dropping an episode every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You can catch us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Breaker, Anchor, and much more platforms. Olivia, can you give out your Instagram where people can follow you?
you can follow me on my Instagram, which is Olivia Pearl. It's Perl. There's no A. And yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
We'll
Perfect.
drop down your IG handle on both our pages.
Ah, thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
No problem. And now back to the podcast. All right. So yeah, we're talking about obviously cliches and how it works and how we deal with it growing up, obviously, and like how it affects us in different ways. Uh, there's actually one cliche I'm going to bring up right now. And I remember when people used to say this, it used to throw me off. Not used to throw me off, it used to annoy me because obviously they're being very direct and they want you to see something that you're not seeing in the moment. And the
Mm.
fact that you can see it, they make you feel as if like you're stupid or you're not that smart and stuff, right? So, do you guys remember this? Read between the
Oh,
lines.
I hate
Yeah.
that.
It's so brutal,
It
so
is
brutal.
brutal. Did you have,
And
oh,
oh,
I
go
was gonna
ahead,
say,
go
did you
ahead.
have an experience or anything?
I I can't really think of the exact moment, but obviously, like the best time for this is probably high school because obviously high school you have different friends and different groups and stuff like that. So obviously, like if your friends are talking about a certain situation and you didn't know about how they felt about a certain way, and you might be friends with another group and they might see you with them, it kind of creates a problem. But no one's going to say that because obviously it's high school and no one has to deal with their emotions. So maybe one of your one of your friends might pull you to the side, like, bro, what's wrong with you? I'm like, what's going on? It's like, bro, do you not see like what's happening? I'm like, no one said anything. And then they'll be like, yada yada yada. I'm like, okay, but what does that have to do with me? Read between the lines. And when they say something like that, it's like, okay, like they're trying to be direct as far as like there's a situation that's happening. And either you did something or you didn't do, but you have to pick a side, right? Or it could be like maybe you got in trouble, maybe like a school assignments, like you might have I don't know, maybe you cheat on a test or like you didn't help on assignments. And but the point is when people say this, they're being very directive and they're also like insinuating that you must realize what you did right now or it's gonna be a bigger problem. So that's why I never liked when people used to say that to me.
I I get what you're saying, and I see why you're frustrated because that frustrates me too. And I think it's annoying because it's like what you said, they're being directive, but at the same time in an indirect way,
Yeah.
So they'll say, for example, they send you a text message and they just say that they're pissed off and that they feel this way, but they won't necessarily say, I feel this way because you said this, or this is what happened that made me feel this way, and I feel this way because ABCDE, you know? So
Hmm.
it's kind of funny because um, when me and my current boyfriend started going out, um, I would just kind of feel certain ways and I would kind of just give him the cold shoulder without, so he would know that I'm upset, but he wouldn't
Yeah.
always know why I'm upset. And then we now that we've like been together for so long, we know how we work well. And he kind of just said it outright when this was happening. And he was like, I can't read your mind. If you're feeling a certain way, you need to tell me how you're feeling and what happened to make you feel that way so that we could fix it. And then it kind of clicked in my head, okay, I can't just I can't just like be mad and expect him to know why all the time, right? And
Yeah.
then it's also the same thing. Like you can't read other people's minds. Like you could think that they're upset for one reason, but they might actually be upset for a deeper reason than what the
Yeah.
surface is telling you, right? So um, yes, you do have, it is good to read between the lines, but sometimes you have to be told when you're expecting that person to read between the lines. But also at the same time, like sometimes you can't expect that they'll just know to.
No, I agree. But one thing I can say is my answer's gonna be a little bit controversial.
But
But
that's it.
Mo, like I think Mohammed, I think I'm gonna say this. I'm not the one
I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm not the kind of person like reading between the lines. Like I'm a direct person. So if I like for example like got someone upset or I did something or whatever the case might be, I'm not gonna go out of my way to go ask a million freaking questions. You either tell me you're straight up or I have no time for you. That's where I'm at.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because a
No,
lot
and sorry. And that's
no, I would
exactly what I was saying was like that's how I was before until
yeah.
my boyfriend was like, "Okay, no, you need to tell me what the problem is and you need to tell me why you're mad."
Yeah, and I just feel that's for me. Like I went through so many experiences. And it's like, bro, I have no time. Like it's like for example, this is not like a math equation, bro. Like where I gotta like isolate x and y and have to like go find like the whatever it equals. But I just do want to say that for me, like I know a lot of people have gotten upset. They're like, oh, like you're too direct. I'm like, dude, I don't want to be fake. I'm like, I would rather you get mad at me for being real
Mhm.
as opposed to me
Yeah.
being fake and then giving you the information you want to hear. And obviously, some people have like blocked me on IG. And I'm like, I feel no type of way about it. I'm like, if that's how you want to live, by all means, that's how you want to live. But just know that if you ever want to like, open this conversation again, that I'm going to be twice the real person I was that day tomorrow.
Mhm. And I think like honestly that's why I respect you so much as not just a friend but also a person because honestly it takes balls to be real and straight up with people and tell them the truth that they don't want to hear.
Hmm.
No, and I appreciate that as well. But the thing is, what I realized ago, I think Muhammad, I was like, me and Olivia were talking about this, and the reason I was like saying why me and Olivia's friendship is so cool and so dope is because we've always been real with each other. We've always like had good laughs and like it was like jokes. And I feel with your friendships, you have to be real. Like that's how you know someone genuinely cares
Hmm.
or generally doesn't give a shit. And
Yeah.
I do, yeah. And like, it doesn't matter how long you've known someone. Like, you can know someone for how many people have you known for so long? I've known people for like 20 years till this day, haven't spoken to them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? So, and that's because the friendship drifted away due to like how you guys act.
It was more reading between the lines as opposed to being honest and
Hmm.
direct.
And I guess we're all like that in some like I think the older you get, you just become more direct. I think that's fair to say.
But the funny thing is, like, it's amazing what you guys are saying because obviously, like, reading between the lines is annoying and aggravating, and certain people can only tolerate it for so long. And obviously, it's called maturity, right? Like when you grow up and you deal with situations like adults or just grown up people, you get to the situation at hand, and people respect you for more times than often.
Yeah.
Funny thing is, read between the lines actually work in certain things and doesn't work, and also in others.
Hmm.
Obviously, right now when it comes to daily life situations, it doesn't work, but it does work in politics. But also, we don't talk about that. But it's pretty funny how like read between the lines actually works in the industry like that. But yeah, certain places it does work, certain places it doesn't work. Obviously, it's not a method you should practice. It's something that if you are going through something or you have an issue with someone, be direct, be honest, and obviously, no one wants to have those difficult conversations, but that's what
But
makes you grow
to
personally.
go back to your point about reading between the lines, I feel the younger you are, I guess like go back to your 18-year-old self, right? Like you're like graduating high school, you're going to like first year of college, university.
Yep.
You act indirect because especially like within
Always.
relationships is the biggest thing because like you don't want like you're scared to tell someone you like them because you don't want to get hurt if they had said no.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll read with you'll be indirect as Olivia was saying earlier, but you're trying to be direct as possible.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I
I
feel like yeah, go on. You guys
Oh,
were gonna
no,
say
no, no, go
something?
ahead.
No, I want to hear you guys' opinions.
I think mine would be a little off topic, so finish up your point.
Okay. Um. Actually, what I forgot I was gonna say that. Let's move on. It's been a long
Um,
day.
I was gonna touch up on how you guys mentioned like um well how now I forgot. Okay. I was gonna mention how Osama, you said that one factor of it is maturity, and then Mo,
Yeah.
you mentioned it being in 2020 now. That was another point to it. But I found
Hmm.
something that kind of goes in between that. So it's 2020. Recently, one of the big movements that's been talked about a lot and needs to be addressed, which I'm not fully going to address today, but needs to be addressed just in the world in general, is the Black Lives Matter thing. And I'm not going to
Yeah.
get too far into that just because I'm still learning as a person and I want to stick on topic to the podcast. So, what someone posted recently was you need to read between the lines and look at what's happening in the world. So that one kind of hit me because I'm like, whoa, what am I missing? And then that
Yeah. Yeah.
one, it was so it's exactly how you feel when people tell you to read between the lines. Like you feel like annoyed by it because it's like, fuck, what did I miss? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I would say you don't, that doesn't come with, uh, that's not a cliche for immature people to not understand because I think that mature people need to understand to learn between the lines as well. Because, like I said, this is
That's
one
true.
topic that I'm still learning about. And for someone to say that to me, that makes me want to step up my game.
No, and just like to add on, I feel with whatever situation you're I guess is happening in the world, everything is going to be indirect to a most part, and it's up to you to really like figure out the perspective that you want to like partake in.
Mm-hmm.
So I do kind of agree with that.
Yeah, that is true. It's a good point, actually. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's maturity or you're not that mature. Like certain situations, you have to read between the line, obviously, right? 'Cause it's bigger than you, right? It's bigger than the area that you live in,
Yeah.
and the situation like this, all that's going on with the world just stopping and talking about an issue that's been ignored for so long. Yeah, like people have tried to be direct for the past amount of decades and centuries, but when you keep ignoring and undermining a group of people, obviously it gets to the point where you have an outrage. That's what's happening right now, right? So
Hmm.
when people are saying read between the lines, they're saying in a way where you have to, because we tried to give you the information before, but now it's at the point where we don't have any time
But
to talk about this very formal.
yeah,
It's people are just fed up.
but you know
So
the quote,
it,
that says, "Actions speak louder than your words."
Mm-hmm.
A
yes,
lot of people are good at saying stuff on like these movements or these anything, dude. I know these people, but are you really gonna go act on it?
Yeah, they talk the
That's the big
talk,
issue.
but
They
don't
talk to
walk
talk,
the
but they
walk.
can't exactly see. Olivia's speaking facts right now. Yeah, that's it. So like, actions speak louder than words. Your words are beautiful. Put it into action because this podcast right now, believe me or believe me not, like all these cliches individually, I guarantee we're all doing things that we want to do to pursue our career. So
yeah,
these cliches that we actually believe in, these quotes that we like truly believe in that we brought up, obviously definitely mean a lot to us because obviously we've all went through our experiences. So people for people who are listening, take a quote you like and live by it
Mhm.
because it's definitely going to shape your life in a different way.
Absolutely. And if you think about it too, I don't think quotes just appear out of thin air. You know what I mean? There's a reason behind every single one. And the fact that so many people either live or have heard cliches, there's a reason for it. So there has to be some kind of truth behind it, you know?
of course,
No,
of
absolutely,
course. Like some people love the Cookie Monster. Some people like Elmo, Big Bird,
bro. Who
Oscar the
who are
Grouch.
these people?
Sesame Street. But yeah, like it's true, right? Like cliches are said for a reason. Some people, oh, most of the time, people will say cliche and not act upon it. So it's actually funny how you said that, Osama. Actions speak louder than words.
Yeah,
Because even that in the past, when I was 17 and 18, that used to annoy me because obviously you have big dreams, goals, and all these things, and you're just talking and talking and talking and talking. But when then the results aren't showing, and people are saying this to you, it makes you frustrated because
yeah.
it's like, what am I doing wrong? But then you realize, like Olivia said earlier, you're doing the exact same thing. You're not changing. It's as if you're on a hamster wheel. You're not going straight or backwards. Like you're in the same direction. Like you're not moving at all, right?
Hmm.
You're just stagnated. So it's funny how all this is connected. So that's one thing I had to make that decision. So when I became like 21 to 22, I'm like, you know what? I think me and my goals, what I've been doing for the past 2 years at that point, yeah, my words have been amazing. As far as the action, I haven't used it. I haven't built upon it, and I don't know what I'm doing. So I need to figure out what to do. So you know what? I'm just gonna silence myself and just learn from people who are action oriented first and use it to build myself to get to the point where I need to do. So for the next 2 years, that's what I did. I just did not talk at all. And I just learned from people who are just an action oriented person first. Like they don't use words at all. If they speak, it's powerful. They don't waste their words, right? They don't waste their time. So by doing that, I grew way better. Obviously, I grew more as far as being a more direct person. Before, I'm very indirect all the time. As you can see, I just brought up Sesame Street for no reason. So by doing that, at this point in my life, I'm way more better when it comes to goals. I'm way better when it comes to seeking out opportunities, and I'm way more better when it comes to listening. So it all you could make that switch, you can make that change, but it all starts with you and your intention. So cliches are so powerful. You hear it over 1,000 times. It might not get to you on the first or 30th time, but it might get you on the 70th or 105th time, right?
Or
So
10
Wow.
it's
years
all,
later.
all upon you.
I want to ask a
Yeah.
final question for, I guess, everybody. What is one quote you live by, or you lived by?
Good
Ooh.
question.
Would you say a quote or a cliche?
It could be anything that you live by, or you live by that's helped you shape your life today.
For me, it's honestly everything happens for a reason.
I love
Yeah.
that. I
Like,
love that.
I
You
feel
want it?
like it's just a good way to get some positivity out of the negative situations that you're in currently.
Hey, what
Hmm.
about Muhammad, Mr.
Uh,
Alaji?
it's a lot. It's like a millions and millions and millions. But I guess the one off the top of my head that I use quickly, my friend used to say this to me all the time because he knew because I was just about words and everything, but not about action. He always used to say, "Always remember to think twice." And when he used to say that to me, I used to go and I used to become angry. And it used to annoy me so much. But obviously, in life, when you realize that before you decide to do something, make sure, think twice, contemplate, and realize that the idea or whatever you want to do actually has a result to it, and therefore you won't fail without understanding it. So sometimes when I'm doing something, I always remember that quote. I always remember to think twice before I decide to do something.
Mhm.
So that definitely helped.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
I think
And
I
I
need to
guess,
start living by that one.
Because we do so many things on the go, right, without thinking about
Mhm.
it, right? But sometimes that
Oh,
hurts.
yeah,
It hurts way more than we
for
expect.
sure. Especially the repercussions of it.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. What about yourself, Osama?
for me, I've been living by this for a couple of years now. It's shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you land in the stars. A lot of us have like high aspiration, high goals, and I love that. Like I love to see when my friends tell me they want to do big things, and I want those big things to happen because I want us to all be successful. So I feel like more from a success standpoint, coming from all these bad experiences, when you fail, don't be afraid to fail because eventually, when you even if you don't reach the stars, you land on the moon. Everything you set out to do, you'll probably do 80% of it, and at that point, that should make you appreciative of like what you've accomplished.
Hmm. I agree because at least if you're trying something and you have a goal, it's better than not doing anything at all. You're making progress and it doesn't happen overnight.
I couldn't agree more. With that being said, Olivia, we want to thank you for coming on.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome, guys. Please be sure to follow Olivia Pearl,
Yep.
and we will put the her IG handle down. If you got, you have to come back by the way because we love this
Okay.
Have
conversation.
to.
I'd love to.
Hey, gang. And then, guys, thank you for watching. We appreciate it. You can follow me, Mohammed, at Ways 2.0. You can follow myself at Kusa300, and then Mohammed at Mohammed.global. And you can always catch us every episode Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And you can see us on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and much more. Olivia, thank you very much.
No
Thank you
problem.
so much.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
Take
Take
care.
care. Peace. Is that your TV?
Yeah, man. So everyone's downstairs now. It's a live broadcast. It's a tough series, so yeah, I'm
It is.
definitely gonna switch locations.
No worries. I guess just to end it
We
off.
ended. It's good that we ended it right now.
Yeah, well, I kind of heard something. I'm just gonna. I thought it was Olivia, and I was like, no, it can't be. It's probably Mo. But I was gonna say, Olivia did amazing. Like this topic was
Amazing.
this topic was an eye opener because when you think of Olivia cliches and what they mean, like we spoke about so much in terms of like
Mhm.
childhood and these quotes and what they mean. You obviously started off with like, have you heard these quotes? So, and what they really meant. I believe we all did amazing, and her perspective on, and knowing her personally, her perspective, like she's definitely like shaped into the woman that she wants to be and it's going to be. So I guess she's definitely on the right track.
Of course, yeah. Beautiful conversation, beautiful person. She didn't waste any words. Like everything she said was in the moment. She knew what she wanted to say. She got her point across, and very happy that she came on the podcast. I wish she could come again for future episodes, and it was an amazing episode. Everyone that listened, make sure to hit us up with questions, feedbacks. Follow Olivia once again. She gave her IG, and we'll make sure to post it in the thread so you can follow her as well. And you might ask her questions if you liked what she said. And once again, follow at Ways. Better episodes, better content, better conversations.
For sure. Peace out.
Peace.